This is Let's Talk Football on the sportshacks.com, and as always on a Friday, we look forward to the League of Ireland action in the middle of what is, of course, World Cup week as well, everything else to contend with. But fans will be out in their thousands tonight across the country for League of Ireland football in the Premier Division, the First Division, and over the weekend. Also, we will see the return of the Women's National League of Ireland, which we will discuss with our regular guest and expert on the league, Daryl Geraghty, very shortly. Daryl, you're very welcome to this week's Let's Talk Football.
Thanks very much. Very kind words as
As
always.
always, very
The word expert is your word expert's doing a lot of heavy lifting there, but thanks very much.
you lift and you deliver, Daryl. To be fair to you, and you are out every weekend covering matches and down at the deep end, as they say, of League of Ireland football. So, as I said, it is World Cup week as well, and two League of Ireland
Yep.
players at the World Cup. Pico Lopez, one of the heroes, on Monday night as Cape Verde got an incredible draw against Spain in their opening game. And then Joseph Anang, I've seen the photographs, I've seen all the messages on Twitter, all the good luck messages, etc., involved with Ghana. Great advertisement for League of Ireland football, and the sort of advertising that money can't buy, Daryl.
No, definitely not. No, it was amazing to see. Sense of pride almost in saying that this is what we can do on this in this little league of ours is we can put players on the biggest stage in the world, and it was fantastic to see them get their moment in the spotlight. And for Pigos, it's gonna be a lot brighter, I think, over the next couple of weeks.
I've had people who wouldn't know necessarily Pico's story, believe it or not, and wouldn't necessarily know his status within the League of Ireland. But people have been saying to me, "Oh, he must be looking forward to getting a big move to England or to Spain or to Italy or somewhere on the back of the World Cup." And Pico Lopez, at 34 years of age, as he is since Wednesday, it's incredible to have that level of performance at this stage of his career.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Even from the first header at the back post when he was under serious pressure, we're thinking that's Pigo all over under pressure, no bother to him. Then there was a couple of minutes later when he got the ball off the keeper on the biggest stage in the world against one of the best teams, one of the favourites, and instead of just lumping it long, looking for the long ball, he sprayed it out left, and I thought, yeah, this is Pigo. He's comfortable now. He's finding his rhythm. He feels at home on this stage. I know I'm probably looking too much into one pass, but it was the fact that he went across goal and he didn't panic, and yeah, you really felt like he belonged on the stage. And obviously the block at the end sums it up as
Yeah,
just a joke.
and
It's outrageous.
And that block from Myers Abel, I'm definitely going to have to apologise for my pronunciations, but that block at the very end, we've seen that so many times in the league with Pico. He doesn't panic, he doesn't get stressed, and that has to exude confidence amongst those playing around him, because if they can see him leading by example from the back, they must take confidence from that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even to the keeper, who was getting all the attention and saw his social media following go through the roof, knowing that he has Pigo in front of him that's going to throw his body in front of everything, must fill him with a bit of confidence as well. And the fact that he's actually comfortable on the ball, they know that if it does, they're under pressure, they do have an out ball. And if they are under serious pressure, as in shots, crosses, we've seen it for how many years now. He wins everything, eats everything up. So yeah, it's a great sign, and gives them at that point gives them a good footing now going forward.
Absolutely, and Saudi Arabia is still to come in their group. The next game, of course, against Uruguay, and that will be difficult as well. The other point that I wanted to make, and people are saying it's great for the league. I think long term this will be a milestone moment for League of Ireland football. Not that we're going to see every player in the league is going to be a World Cup contender. That's not going to happen, and not every player in England is in contention for a World Cup place. Never mind in the League of Ireland. But I think what it will do is it will sell to foreign players that if they come to Ireland and if they play in our league, there is an opportunity to develop your international career. I mean, Estonia, we know, have been represented through the League of Ireland. Joseph Ndo came into the League of Ireland after playing for Cameroon. So there's no doubt that what Pico was doing and what Joseph Anang to a lesser extent with Ghana as the third choice keeper or the second choice, we don't know yet. But what they're doing is they're showing players that, you can come into the League of Ireland. Pico's been here all his life. Joseph has come in recent years, and you can still make an impact at international level.
Yeah, definitely. I think over the last few years we've kind of seen that with the younger players going across to England and around Europe, that if they get to move back to Ireland, it helps even with the under 21 recognition, and that gives them a footing then, and then they can actually get here, see how the football is, see how men's football is, and for other clubs around Europe, knowing that you have this opportunity to send your players to play real football, because the academy, let's be honest, the academy in 23 is, it's not real football really. So knowing that they have that is a great selling point for the league, and can only like raise the standards in the league if we're getting these players around Europe, or even our younger ones who are gone, knowing that they have to come back to get real football can help their ambitions then internationally. So we've already seen a few under 21s come back, and it's had great effect for them. So long may it continue.
It's a very good point you make
Yeah.
about the loan players as well, because I was thinking just even in terms of permanent transfers coming in, but loan players, it's a huge opportunity to come here, and you call it real football, I call it men's football. It's the same thing. It's proper football.
Yeah, it is. It's just a different level, and it's a different lifestyle. And instead of just being in an academy surroundings, they're going to play with players who have, this is their livelihood. You know, they're looking for mortgages. They're looking to support families, and the kids haven't been exposed to that really. So there's all the off the field stuff as well as the standard of football going through the roof, because we're all full time now in the Premier.
And
So it's, yeah.
And it's also going to give them exposure to a lifestyle that, where the fans mix with the players. It's not all about Ferraris and Lamborghinis and these superstars walking in and out. If you walk down the street outside Richmond Park on a Friday night, you won't see too many Ferraris or Lamborghinis, but you will see real football and real football people.
Yeah, and that connection to the fans is huge, and that's our big selling point as well in the league. That they're getting exposure from media, the fans, and that have that connection. You know, you can't buy that, you can't train that into kids, you can't teach it in academies. You know, and that would help obviously the better players fall in love with the country and the clubs they're on loan with or they're looking to sign permanently with. So, yeah, it's a great opportunity for us.
And we'll talk
Yeah.
about Harry Vaughan a little later in this show, but of course he's now available for permanent signing, and I know Bows are talking to him. Speaking of Rovers, though, and speaking of Friday nights, and speaking of real football, Shelburne, two chances in Talca Park. You were there, if memory serves me correct. Two chances,
Yep.
and then Meepo buries one, which Ed McGinty has taken a bit of stick online over. Dave Henderson did defend the goalkeeper as he would. That's the goalkeepers union. They defend each other. But Shelburne, that was a really important win for them. And how significant a defeat was it for Shamrock Rovers?
Yeah, it was a strange game. I know we when we talk on this podcast, we often have conversations about sayings or phrases from before my time, but the standout for me was Harry Wood, and it was like a real float like a
Mm.
butterfly and sting like a bee performance, because the two key passes created the goals, and he was literally everywhere. He was different level. And I think the big moment in that was when Joey O'Brien pushed him up front basically and said, "You're too deep. You're not. You're doing all this work." There was times where he was clearing it on his own end line, and he was getting nowhere, just wasting energy basically, and he couldn't get them out. And then when he does do that little switch, he's further up the pitch and he creates two chances. They score from two goals, two good goals as well, I think. But for Rovers, talking to Stephen after, he oddly upbeat. He was like 9 times out of 10, he was saying that they win that game. I mean, I haven't seen a team that comfortable in the opening half an hour maybe than Rovers were. I mean, it was the passes were up over 70% possession. Passes were through the roof, and just didn't take their chances. But that's what Shells can do, is they can punish you. And yeah, it was a very strange game in that sense, that Rovers looked too comfortable at times, and I think that's where the first goal came from. Maybe they just an extra pass in midfield where Terry Wood clipped the ball and started that move. So yeah, it's a big week for Rovers now, because Pats have the game in hand, and it's a double game weekend for them. So it's a big weekend for Rovers.
And Waterford,
Waterford's
yeah.
home form is good.
I was going to say they've
It's
improved.
good.
Yeah, they
It's
have.
good.
They have improved dramatically under Graham Coughlan, haven't they?
Yeah, and they have that unbeaten run at home now, and they have the new signing, Go Forth Amadou as well in the door. What's the saying? Is it a Bible saying? Is it go forth and multiply?
Mm.
They'll probably hopefully go forth and multiply their points in the league. But it's a tough challenge if he does get a game against Rovers, because they'll be looking to really bounce back from last Friday and set themselves up for Monday, because this is where Stephen comes into his own with his strong squad that he can rotate over a weekend, no problem. So expect a big weekend from Rovers, yeah.
And in terms of Shelburne, then, we'd spoken about how good they were away from home all season, and that their problem was Talca Park, but they got that right last Friday. But poor Kevin Doherty, and I'm saying that with the greatest respect to the man, but you and I have discussed this more than once, that he's getting frustrated time and again, isn't he?
He is, yeah, and it's sad to say for because he's such a likable guy. And the story of Drogheda being successful in the FAI Cup was just brilliant, and he deserves it for all the hard work he does put in. But against Shells, he won't be too fearful. I think the 4-3 was at Talca will be still fresh in the
Hmm.
memory, and they've only lost one in the last 6 against them, I think. So, not that you'd expect a Kevin Doherty team to fear someone, but I think this would be an ideal opportunity for them to just say, look, we've played them enough now recently, in recent years, that we've nothing to be afraid of. So, and they showed at Talca that they can do the job. So, it'll be an interesting one Friday.
You spoke as well about Pats already. Their home, their weekend starts at home to Sligo. Again, Sligo losing down on Waterford has made a big difference to the bottom of the table, and Pats will fancy themselves for this one, won't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You think there was 5 points behind, and the game in hand, like I said, is massive now. This is where we want Pats to see how they deal with the pressure and having an opportunity that they could really put some pressure on Rovers and not just slip up again like we've seen them kind of do, and that inconsistency creeps its head up again. And Sligo will be again looking to bounce back because that was not a John Russell
Mm.
performance. He was almost shocked, I think, after himself. So they've no fear travelling to Dublin. But yeah, this is where you want Pats to really show their credentials now. The second half of the season, really go for this title.
And we haven't seen the Kevin Zeffy impact yet, have we? So this could be the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know we got a few minutes, but obviously the game was gone at the weekend, and he's had another week training. So I mean, yeah, look, just spring a surprise like that, catch Pats off guard. He has that bit of magic that can create something. So, yeah, really hoping that Sligo turn up for this one and make it a game, because last week like I said, wasn't really a Sligo Rovers performance.
Now I'm branding this one the GAA derby because finally Go United are going to get to Pearse Stadium in Salt Hill. They're going to play a game on the GAA pitch. Didn't happen last weekend, and they had that nonsensical idea forced on them of having to play away from Galway, and they ended up in Cork of all places, but it didn't go particularly well. But this weekend, they're welcoming Derry City, who have spent the recent games on the GAA pitch themselves up in Celtic Park, up in Derry. So Galway against Derry in the GAA derby. A lot of comings and goings for these clubs, you would suspect, over the transfer window, but mostly for Derry at the moment, it's been goings, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's fully expected this game to be shown on the Sunday game on RTE, just with the JA background to it. But for Derry, it's like we spoke of maybe a couple of weeks ago at this stage. The inconsistency, it's going to be another overhaul for Derry City. They've already announced 4 players gone. Um, so, and Tiernan Lynch said it was kind of out of necessity that they have to rebuild again this summer. But again, it's just that constant. It just seems this constant cycle with Derry that they're rebuilding. They just want, like, they can't find a level playing field, something to build on. Um, and I thought Ben Doherty's statement was interesting. So I think he joined Coleraine on a permanent, and in his little statement, he never mentioned the manager. He seemed to thank everyone else.
Mm.
Again, I could be reading too much into things, as I tend to do. That you've probably noticed. But yeah, another crazy summer. I know probably because they have the money to rebuild, that there's that temptation to, if something's not going right, quickly change it quickly, instead of building something, giving the fans something to get behind and showing they're building towards a title, say. Um, so yeah, it's going to be very, very unusual summer. I think a lot busier than they probably expect. Both teams probably expected at the start of the season.
I think you're right, though. I think sometimes with those sort of statements, it's what's not said in them can be more revealing than what is said in them. And definitely look at that one with interest, because Tiernan Lynch was under pressure. A win against Bohemians isn't going to change that, I don't think, that much. So a big game in Pearse Stadium, and maybe Marty Morrissey will do the commentary for League of Ireland TV. Wouldn't that be quite something? He's well used to Pearse Stadium. Finally, then,
Absolutely.
in terms of the men's league, Daryl, Bohemians. We discussed it earlier. Harry Vaughan now available. The goalkeeper went off and got married last weekend, as we discovered this week. But they're back. They're going to look for redemption again, and this isn't the first time Bows are looking for redemption in the league. Hammered in Derry, but this time they're looking for redemption against Dundalk, and that won't be easy.
No, this is a tricky one. This is a tricky one for them. And I think they need to find again that word consistency keeps coming up. But for Bows, it seems to be this is a big game because they want to be looking up, as in terms of being in a title race, instead of looking down, as in trying to hold on to a European spot now because we're in the second half of the season, like I said. And if Shells do get that home form in order, which they seem to be doing, then they're going to be right on Bows' coattails. There's going to be a massive race now for Europe. If Dundalk don't seem to be going away either, so they look like they're going to be right in the mix. And yeah, going to have to start writing about them, saying European contenders Dundalk. So because their performances have been that good, and Tariq Wilson is turned into prime Roberto Carlos, hitting goals from everywhere. So this is a big one for Balls, I think, this Friday. Big one.
And in terms of Harry Vaughan, we've seen enough of him, I think, both for the under-21s and for Bohemians, to see why Alan Reynolds would want to keep him at Daleyman Park if they can get a permanent deal across the line, because he is released now, he is a free agent.
Yeah, definitely, and they're hoping they can wrap it up quickly because with his performances and the level he can hit that we've seen, I'm sure they won't be the only club giving him a call now, or I'm sure his agent's phone has been pretty busy, so they're kind of hoping that maybe that they're one step ahead. But again, money talks as well. So if maybe another offer from England comes in, you could be tempted. But hopefully, both have the head start on that because we want to see good players in the league.
Don't be surprised if there is another offer from a League of Ireland club as well, by the way. That has happened before. Players have come in on loan, done a good job at one team, and then been snapped up by another. And that adds to the old rivalry on the terraces, as we used to call them back in the day. We spoke briefly at the top of the introduction, Daryl, about the Women's League of Ireland. It is back. The All-Ireland Cup is back on the back burner. Galway United winning the league. We discussed this briefly on a previous show, but it's now or never for them now. So this is the start of the real season, with the greatest respect to every game that's been played so far. But it's from here to the end of the season that they have to show that they are indeed worthy leaders in that league.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long 4-week break in the league. And the real fascinating thing for me is how Galway deal with this pressure. Because in the last few seasons, they've been toured and they've been the ones chasing and trying to close the gap. So a lot of the squad won't be used to actually being ahead in the race. And this is where I think Niamh Farley really comes into her own and has that experience at top level football. So she's going to be crucial for them. But it's going to be fascinating now because the roles have flipped, because Athlone are now chasing and they're used to being chased themselves. And it seems like their new gaffer is going to be in the dugout on Saturday. Lily Ag is going to be in situ, so that adds another spice to it. And they're playing. I know they're playing at home to Shamrock Rovers, which is the game we hope to be doing on Saturday. And Rovers have players that can hurt them. They've really quick attacking players. So yeah, this whole dynamic has flipped, and I think that's a good thing for the league, just to keep that interest. So yeah, this is the big one now. I'm looking forward to this run in, see how they get on.
So watch this space, and we will pick your brains on that one again in the coming weeks. Darrell Garrity, as always, thank you for your League of Ireland intuition and experience and your knowledge. Fascinating weekend ahead once again in the middle of the World Cup. And if you want to go and see a football match, go and see it for real. Don't sit in front of the television and watch hydration breaks. There's no hydration breaks in the league yet, Darrell, is there?
No, I think the last one I saw was in the Women's League, Rovers down in Waterford, where it was like 20 odd degrees at pitch side. So we're getting away with it. No
Yeah.
4 quarters in
No
this
four
football.
quarters, yeah. And no TV ads in the middle of a game either. So if you want real football, folks, get along to a League of Ireland match this weekend. And if you do get along to a game, there's chances are you will see Darrell and his colleagues working hard in the press boxes. And for that, Darrell, as always, thank you, and thank you for your contribution to this show.
Thank you, and thank you for the kind words as always.